Hi, you guys, and welcome back to the podcast.
We are the Carwells.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Sarah, and we are, as you know, Airbnb interior designers and investors. Well, welcome back, listeners, to the podcast. Today we have another repeat guest, one of our favorites, Steven. Hi, Steven. His counterpart, Federico, in Argest Rentals is going to be joining us about halfway through this, but we're going to get started with just Steven for now. And for our listeners, why don't you introduce who you are if they don't know who you are already?
Yeah, I knew not to talk over your intro. Like from my own podcast, which I'm Stevie Stacks from the Live Let Thrive podcast, and from if you heard of me before, Argest Rentals is my management company with my partner Federico. But as I was telling Sarah, I knew not to talk. I just said the peace sign, and then you acknowledged me. That was on you. You acknowledged me. I didn't ask for acknowledgement. But we've had so many guests that come on and we say, hey, we're gonna do our intro, blah blah blah. Then we'll bring you in, and then they're like. And I say, yeah, we have a special guest. Hey, and I was like, no, dude, wait, wait for it.
Hold the horses.
Stay in your lane, bro. And anyways, so yeah, I was being very respectful. So yeah, Stevie Stacks from Live Let Thrive. We're gonna have some fun today. It's an early morning podcast. We usually do later ones, so I'm drinking coffee instead of whiskey, so it's gonna be fun.
You can switch it to whiskey this early.
No, that would be a bad
whiskey
day.
in that coffee. It's Monday.
That would be a bad day. Once I pop, I can't stop.
Bad day or good day, depends on who you ask.
Either way, I won't remember it. So yes, thank y'all, girls. This is exciting to be on your show twice.
Yes, and so much has happened in between then. So we're excited to re-interview you and kind of, hear what's happened in the meantime.
A lot of fun stuff has happened. We've been growing. Got a few more clients. So we're gonna take over. Thanks to you guys, we're gonna manage a property in Gulf Shores, Alabama.
There we go. Yes, we love to hear it.
Yeah, and that's exciting. It's a sweet little lady that's gonna hand over the keys to us. It is so cute because she's asking us all these questions and how to get started. It's her first one. Everybody remembers their first, and so we're expanding out that way. I think we're over 70 properties now. And
holy cow!
Yeah, it's nuts. And Federico's always pulling his hair out. He's gonna get to he should be getting here because Federico's my partner in the business, and he'll be getting here on his visa. He has his interview this October, right? In October, this coming up week or so, and then he should be able to get his visa and travel here. And then he's gonna probably get on my nerves a lot, but
I'll be curious when he's actually in the States how hands-on he gets with the properties.
Man,
oh my goodness, yeah.
I told him you better not be over there cleaning the properties. I told him that already. Because he came to town. That's the thing, he's managing remotely from Argentina, our company, right? He does the operations side. He's a freaking computer genius, whatever. And so, but I think it's helped to handicap him that he can't come to the properties, right? And I told him, dude, if you were here, we'd have 10 perfectly run properties, but we wouldn't get past 10 because you'd be so anal about those 10, right? And so it's good that you're far away.
So true.
And when he came to town, he came to town for a week, before on, just visiting and stuff. He had a vacation week. I think all he did was just went through each property with a toothbrush, and made everything sparkling clean and cleaning filters and cleaning. I mean, which is great. We need that, right? But not from the CFO.
You're gonna have to lock him in an office every morning. You're gonna be like, Federico, go in. We're locking you in. Don't go to any of the properties today.
We'll feed him pizza under the door. Yeah, that's a good idea.
So true. Or just make sure he doesn't live in Texas. Like, be like, look, you can live anywhere other than Texas.
I tried to send him to Wisconsin on that deal, but that didn't work out.
Oh,
was that Wisconsin?
That's a whole nother topic. Yeah, it is. Well, bring him on up. He's gonna experience the cold up here. I don't know if he's ready for that.
Oh no, not from Argentina. They don't get too cold down there.
Yeah, it was 48 degrees here the other day, so it'll be a shock for him if he makes his way up here.
It's so true.
How y'all girls been doing? I haven't seen y'all in a while.
Oh my gosh, we have been swamped. We thought when we, let go of Super O slabs that it would like free up a lot of space. And all of a sudden, there's always that anxiety when you shift directions. Like, okay, well, what am I going to fill my time up with next? Like, how am I going to utilize this newfound free time? It was like immediately filled with so much stuff. So, I mean, I'm currently in this house that I'm renovating. I think it'll take us about a month total to get this property up and running. And then I'm crossing my fingers to start on that orange property if all goes well. So we'll see. And Emily's got a property she's working on now.
Yes, Sweet. Just closed last week, I think.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Time is moving really fast, so I think it was last week. And then we're slowly moving up because our lease in Grand Rapids is until November 30th. So I was like, maybe I can get the new flooring put in before we move in because we're gonna live in it for like 6 to 8 months, just fixing it up. It's my first one, so I'm just gonna take it slow, check all my boxes, and enjoy it before I list it and have to figure out where I'm gonna live.
Nice.
It's a whole thing.
It's perfect time to get a new puppy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have a new puppy. My husband also travels for work, so was in Thailand, and then he was in Seattle. We were in Memphis this past weekend, and then he goes to Europe in like a week and a half. So I'm busy.
Yeah. We're both so occupied. So
yeah.
Well, before we dig too deep in here, let's start every episode with an Airbnb horror story. And Steven, I will let you take it away.
Take it away, a horror story. Did we tell you about the one last time that was someone busted out a window in one of our Airbnbs?
No. Oh, no.
Okay. Sarah's like, is it mine?
Don't tell me it's mine.
Oh, never mind. I won't tell that story. Yeah, it was the first one. It was it was a Greenscape. Okay, it was the Bluebird, the blue room. The second one you designed for us. Yeah, y'all designed for it. Remember that? And with the peacock in there. Is that peacock? Yeah, it was a peacock.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
and the orange curtains and the rope wall.
And the rope wall, yes, the rope wall. And so anyways, so someone had rented that, and they were probably some it turned out they were probably like homeless people that bounce around Airbnbs. That's a thing in Dallas, I don't know, maybe all the inner cities it's a thing. So homeless people rent your places, and then they and do crazy stuff in there, whatever. And they I told, and I'll say, I'm not always right, but on this one there's so many red flags, I almost wanted to date it. And so there was so many red flags. I told Federico, dude, do not rent to these people. First of all, they had like 2 giant dogs. I'm like, that's a little bitty space. No, don't worry, they'll be all right. They seem cool. I was like, and then plus, then they started having, that card's not working. Here, I'm gonna try this card. Then the payment's gonna. I was like, as soon as that payment crap starts coming up, where one card can't fit the whole stay on there, and there was like a 3-month stay, and so I was like, dude, I'm getting bad vibes. And then anyways, they rented it, and they were there. They were doing okay for a few weeks, but I guess our camera kept seeing this shirtless dude going in and out, kind of gangster looking. And and long story short, they their neighbors, our neighbors above us, because we have the bottom unit and the top unit right above it, and they were saying there was a bunch of commotion the night before and this and that, and like screaming, shouting match, and then they sent us pictures, and the next morning they said, look, the window's busted out. I was like, what? This is the middle of the summertime, right? And this was a few months back, so it was like 100 degrees outside, and the window was just completely busted out. And then so we called the cops, right? We're like, hey, we think like a domestic disturbance was going on over there or something. And so the police showed up later that day. We saw it all on the camera. We could hear on the Ring camera, and they just pretty much asked him a few questions. Are you sure nothing happened? You sure nothing went, nothing wrong? No, it's our her mother-in-law came, and I guess she was being rowdy outside and accidentally broke the window, or said something like that. I don't know. Gave us some excuse, and then they said, well, can we come in and look? And they walked around. It was like 3 cops, two dudes and a lady cop. And then they just said, okay, well, all right. Well, thank you all for your time. And they left. I was like, that's it? That was it? So that's a lesson too. If you're doing this business, the cops aren't going to do nothing. They're not going to do nothing for you. You have to hire a private security firm if you're going to want to try to get people out of your place or whatever. Because cops will say, "Oh, this is a civil matter. We don't handle this." What the hell do y'all do? Aren't y'all the aren't y'all the cops?
Yeah.
When
Yes.
there's bodies, we might come, take account of the bodies. But until then,
That's
we're not
so
going to do
true.
nothing. Yeah, it's crazy. So we had the apartment complex say we're not paying for the window, so we had to we had to pay for them to come out and fix the window, which we had to use. Which is this is another crazy thing. This stupid complex. They said, and it's a new management of the one. Apartment complexes always change managements, whatever. But this one really sucks. And they said, well, okay, we're not going to pay for it, but we're going to find the company that is going to fix it. And that company that they chose took like a month to fix the damn window, right? So we got these people kicked out. But we can't really rent the place with the busted out window. We have a freaking plywood, where the window was. And finally they got it. I'm like, if we're gonna fix it, why can't we just choose a company that can fix it like tomorrow, And so yeah, I saw all the red flags. Told Federico not to let these people in our place. He convinced me, okay, it's gonna be okay, blah blah blah, and it turned out like crap. But we got a huge payout from Airbnb because we have some really good VAs that can go after the money. So it kind of evened out, but it was just a big freaking nightmare.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really the headache that you're trying to avoid.
Yeah, that's like
Yes.
why I mean, you were saying you were trying to do that. Sarah always talks about being so selective and being like really particular about the people that you let stay in your space because you don't want your stuff like glasses break, sometimes futons will break, stuff like that just happens. But like a window, or like if we had a client one time, like an entire shower tile was shattered because somebody threw somebody into the bathroom, like
Oh my god.
that kind of stuff is the stuff that you're like, I don't want those kind of people staying in my space who are going to cause damage like that. It's
How do I get
insane.
mellow, docile people?
It's wild.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that
that's
is
the
wild. Well, and it's unfortunate on the police front too. Like, I just had a lady in my DMs all last week because she's going through her very first nightmare story ever. And she's in Michigan here. She's just outside of Grand Rapids. And like, she had like a 200 to 300 person party thrown, like a rager. Just, it wasn't like like a calm party where everyone's like sipping tea. No, it's like a full blown, like all night long rager. And I mean, they just demolished her house, but she had a Minute system, she had a Ring doorbell, she called the police. She was like, these people are not allowed to be on my property. And the police, like, I mean, the party was so big at that point, but that they were like, for us to like, for everyone's safety, like, we just have to monitor this party. Like, we can't just like shut it down. We have to like contain it. And she was like, you're the police, like, please help, like, get them off my property, like, they're literally, like, trespassing, and they're like, "It's too big and there's too few of us," like, it's just not gonna happen. I'm like,
Oh,
it's I don't know what changed it because I believe like in the early days of Airbnb, I would hear people say, "Yeah, I could just call the cops out there." Mike, because he had a few houses, he has a few houses, and he called the cops and they clear it out, just no problem, right? They just stop a party and everybody has to go home, kind of deal. But I don't know what changed. Nowadays, the cops they don't want to do anything, and that's there's police listening out there. I'm sure there's reasons. I'm sorry. Don't come arrest me for saying things like this, but I don't know if it's in their protocols have changed or just they don't want to be on the news holding down the wrong colored person and getting fired and all this crazy stuff. I understand all that. I don't know what's changed, but they don't handle these things anymore.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely different. It for sure is different, which, I mean, if I were in those police shoes as well, it's like, even if there's 10 police officers and you're going up against 200 to 300 people who are like
Hmm.
drunk, on drugs, like having a good time, high energy environment, like it honestly probably is the best call to just like let it ride out. Just like
Hmm.
contain it, make sure nobody's hurt, make sure that you're like aware of it, and then
Yeah.
like handle the aftermath. And it, like, no host wants to hear that that's the best protocol, but that probably like ultimately is.
Yeah.
Just like, just watching what that host went through emotionally last week, she's like, I'm just like distraught. She's like, the things I had to clean up. I'm like,
Oh,
I believe it. I
oh,
believe it. Poor lady.
yeah. Yeah.
It's always something, though.
It's crazy. So that's what we talked about before. Is a private security firm is like pretty much the only protection that you can guarantee having. And I don't know. They come with guns. You can get them with guns or without guns. Of course, it costs more to get them with guns, right? So hell yeah, we want the guns. Can we choose the gun? Can we get like a huge ass gun? But
That's the most American thing I've ever heard in my life.
yeah, like an action figure, right? Oh man.
Yeah, so true.
But yeah, so that's the craziness. So what do we get into? Some management stuff, fun stuff.
Yes, absolutely. So again, for our listeners, Steven and Federico, if he joins in a bit, they run a property management company. They do take care of my arbitrage properties, now property, in Texas. I've been working closely with them for several years. So we have a long-standing great relationship, and we're always excited to have them on the show. And plug from me, if you guys are looking for a great management company, I have gone through the absolute ringer with bad management companies, and I landed on them finally, and they have just like been rainbows and butterflies ever since. So if you are looking for a good management company and you want someone who like really plugs into your property and cares for it like you would care for it, highly, highly recommend them. But with that being said, let's get into some questions for you.
Yeah.
Emily, I'll let you kick it off.
Yes. So you gave us your intro, but can you tell everybody where you're located and like all the properties that you have? And then along with that, what's the biggest challenge with being remote because you are a remote property management company?
So most of our properties are in Dallas and Fort Worth, and aside from those, we have some in Houston, we have some in Austin, some in Round Rock, San Antonio, Scottsdale. We have some in Scottsdale due to Sarah's friend, y'all's friend, right? And
Yes.
great client of ours. And then we have one in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So it's not really. It used to be a short term, and then the city said, "Hey, y'all can't do short term here, or whatever." So it's a long term, but it does great as a midterm rental. Oh my god, it kills it. But anyway, so we have those, and we have actually also a side business, which is a pretty profitable one, is our timeshares. So if you count our timeshare, that's so a regular Airbnb management. We have clients and stuff like that, and we have our own arbitrages. We have about 70, right? Now, if you count our timeshare business, and at any point we can have over 400 listings because we kind of do like flipping timeshare kind of deal. You know what I'm saying? So we rent the timeshare from this company that we're part of for like let's say $50 a night, and then we put it on Airbnb, put the listing up there, and then we charge $100 a night. So we make the spread. So it's the most beautiful business. We love it. So that and the other question you had was
What are the challenges of
remote.
being remote?
Being
Yes.
remote. I the challenges of being remote, of course, is building the team, to take care of everything, because like here in Dallas Fort Worth, I live here, so push comes to shove, I can go, check on something, handle something, and I do that, a little bit, not as much in the beginning, a lot more, right? I was always at the properties, and I was always tightening up Sarah's canopy beds because they were, and
So true. So true.
and so yeah, no canopy beds, y'all, not anymore. They look pretty, but a lot of wear and tear. So anyways, that we were able to because I know some handyman personally around in this area, right? And so I was able to put together a team of great handyman that could handle most of the issues, and cleaners. I could meet with the cleaners. I can go check on some of the cleanings. I could do that. So in this area, being like semi-remote because I'm not there every day, it's been a lot easier to build a team. Now San Antonio and like Austin or Houston, whatever, that's the most challenging. Team is building a great team over there. We have some good teams, and we have some good teams in place in different cities, but it's a lot more I guess a lot more trust involved, right? And just going by what the guests are telling us in the reviews, and then having the handyman check the cleaner, or the vice versa, seeing if everything is kosher. So setting up the teams is the hardest part, but once you get that going with all the automations we got nowadays, it's very possible, very very possible to be successful at it.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, it just seems like you guys have been super intentional about not scaling too quickly, making sure that what you've got has a good foundation under it before you accept new properties. And I just think, I think you guys have done a really great job of not losing as you guys scale that very like boutique feel that definitely drew me in at the very beginning. So congratulations on that front as
You
well.
dragged us into this. What are you talking about?
There needed to be someone good in this space. I
You're
stand by
crying
that. I'm
about
like,
butts on
guys, if you can't do
the.
it,
You're crying to us about butts on the
just
walls and stuff like that. Inside joke. And then I need a manage on a manage for me. Okay, we will. Chill.
help, help, I'm drowning. Yeah, you guys came at literally a perfect time. For like a slight backstory for all of our listeners, Emily and I were dealing with a very chaotic install, and that install led to us needing a new management company. And Steven and Federico had been like, "Hey, we'd love to manage your property," for months at that point. They're like, we're doing a management company. We're doing a management company." I was like, "No, no, no, I'm good." And then that day you were like, "Hey, are you sure you don't want us to manage your properties?" And I'm like, "Yes." Immediately, yes. Without a question, how quickly can we do this?
see, this is cool because I was half joking about Sarah dragging us into this. We kind of because we had flirted with the fact of doing a management company, me and Federico, and then and Sarah said, yeah, let me know when you guys get one up and running. The usual courtesy. And then it just so happened that she needed one, and so we were able to take over for her, and then hopefully we did a good job for you. Do a good job for you for your last remaining unit. They all keep getting shut down because of the cities, but we
Yeah.
love. It's like a family, I know people throw that term around a lot in business, but it is like a family with you guys, and we love working for y'all, and we love and you've put us on to so many other clients, and that's like, oh my god, that's been amazing. And them too, we're their friends. We go have beers with them. When Federico's in town, we go have beers with some of our clients that we do business with to hang out, and just it's just they always have access to us like 100% of the time. Anytime they want to call or text or talk to us, even though we're the founders, whatever, we're not that type of founder. We're always accessible, and so we're not going
Yeah.
to just throw them onto a VA like some other companies do. But I think
It's
America
so
has VA
true.
fatigue, right? I mean, because every time I almost speak Filipino now from all the different. I call AT&T, I call Spectrum, I call electric companies, and I'm gonna learn Filipino. I'm gonna get stuff done because I swear 99% of U.S. business is done in the Philippines. That's a fact because I said it. and our VAs are Filipinos too, man. I'm like, every time I have a struggle trying to call like an internet company or something, I feel like, let me get my Filipino to talk to you so you can see you can get some stuff done, right? We're going off the rails here,
Yes.
Sarah. What are you doing with your podcast?
We like to keep it interesting around here. We have a friend who went to BYU's Mormon, and they do their 2 year like mission work, I guess, when they're in college. And he got sent to the Philippines, and he learned one of the Filipino dialects. I guess there's like a gazillion there, but
Mhm.
Mhm.
but yeah, he speaks pretty fluent tag. I don't even know how to say it. Like
Tagalog.
Tagalog,
Tal
Tagalog.
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
So when he'll like sometimes record it and send it to us, like him speaking it, and I'm like, that language sounds crazy. Like, how do you know? It's just different languages are just insane to me.
It's
Like my
just
brain does not attach.
Yeah, it's always interesting the different dialects too, because like when I was in Thailand, there's like 5 different ways. Tyler's coworker who's still over there because they still have a plant there. She said a sentence and it was all the same word, just said a little bit differently, and it was a full sentence. And Tyler was like, "That's so. I mean, it's cool, but it's really hard for anybody outside of that culture to learn, right? Because well, at least for me specifically, my brain is so ingrained a specific way, and so." Yeah, and I found out the English language has like the most words because we have to come up with a new word for everything.
Really?
Apparently.
Is that a joke or is that real?
Gotta make it complicated.
I didn't fact check it, but I read the other day this fact and I was like,
I saw that as well somewhere.
yeah,
Sorry, I mean my camera's not working, guys. I'm so sorry.
no
That's okay.
problem. That's okay. We can make it
uh,
work.
but
We're
yeah,
just chatting here.
that communication part. I just I just chat this morning. We are gonna hire someone from Argentina, from my country, to work at Argest. It was great to have a chat in my own language, right? In Spanish. I feel like that being in the same language to explain some things, even though we all work in English and chat with our guests in English, but sometimes it feels nice. Feels like you can do a little bit extra, so that I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I bet.
there is ease there if you like fluently speak the same language.
You want
Definitely.
Federico to introduce who
So
he
what did
is?
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
let's take a step backwards, and for our listeners, why don't we go ahead and introduce Federico now that everybody knows who Steven is?
Well, thank you. I'm sorry I'm late. 10 years doing calls with different time zones, and I come to miss this one. I thought it was Central Time, not Eastern Time. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm Federico. I'm 50% of Argest Rentals founder. So I take care mostly of the operational part of the business. So we started this with Steve. I'm pretty sure that he already introduced that, and we already have a podcast with you guys, an episode. But yeah, what do I do? I'm on top of the operation to make sure everything is going smoothly. Pricing, cleaning, uh, property checks, maintenance. So I'm constantly looking into new ways, different ways to make sure that we run things efficiently and that we're making the most out of each property. So that's about me.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you do a great job of it.
Thank you.
So steering it back to some questions about you guys, we're trying to kind of fill in some blanks here since the last time we talked. What, Federico, do you think sets you guys apart from other PM companies that are available currently?
That's a great question. And I think that what set us apart is that we understand the needs of our clients. I mean, I think at the end of the day, every property management is trying to provide the best stay for the guests, but we never lose in sight that behind each property there is a person who put a lot of effort and love into setting it up, and we understand that each client will have a different level of involvement, and we try to respect that. And if there's a client that wants to be more involved in what's going on in the day-to-day operation of the property, we're gonna work with them so they get weekly reports if they want, or they are involved in some of the decision making. Even though for us it may be a little bit more work because we don't have the full autonomy to say, hey, let's do this, and here's your invoice. We understand that some people wants to be more involved. We're gonna provide our input and our knowledge into suggesting the best options. Whenever we have to work in maybe making improvements or again making decisions. And there are some other clients that they don't want to be involved at all, and they just receive an email at the end of the month. This is how much you made, and that's totally fine as well. So I think that that's one of the things that really set us apart because at the end of the day, once again, we truly know how much you put into each one of your properties. It's like a baby, and I think that's very important.
Oh my gosh, yes, it's important.
Yeah.
I mean, I can kind of speak to that for a second as well with you guys and with, other people that I've got on my team taking care of properties is like there is nothing more reassuring for a host than having people on your team take care of you when you can't take care of every single thing yourself. Like a couple examples are like there was a period of time last year where 231, my unit down in Fort Worth that you guys managed, was just like kind of slacking, right? We weren't seeing the numbers that we were seeing the year before. And I think you guys had reached out to me like twice, being like, Sarah, I really think this needs to be rephotographed. Like it needs some better photos to sell it. And I just like didn't have the capacity to find a photographer. And before I knew it, like you guys had a good enough relationship with me knowing that like if you handled it, I would pay for it. And pretty soon you guys were like, okay, we've already found the photographer. The pictures are already taken. Like, here they are. Here's the bill. And I was like, in that moment, I was like nearly in tears. I was like, I just needed someone to take care of me for a day. I've got so many fires I'm trying to put out on my end that was just like, I'm willing to lose money because I don't have the capacity. And you guys handled it. And it was like in that moment that I was like, wow, these guys like really truly care for my properties just as much, if not more, than I do. And ultimately that's all you can ask for in a PM company is to have someone who's on your team who's like truly got your back, not someone who's just like looking for a paycheck.
Definitely.
Exactly, and to expand on what Federico said, we kind of cater to our clients because they're just clients like yourself that like more hands off. You don't want to be micromanaging us. You don't want to be on top of it. You want to if you trust us enough to make the right decision. So we said we're gonna get a photographer out there to take pictures. It needs it. We're gonna handle it. Don't worry, we'll handle everything, and then we'll bill you. And then, but you trust,
Please.
yeah. But you trust us enough to do that. Whereas what we've learned at different kinds of clients, but we took over a bunch of properties for a cleaner that has worked with us in the past. She gave us a bunch of her properties that another management company wasn't doing a good job at. And so we were lucky enough to take over all her properties. And then, but here's something came up, like something was under the sink that needed a quick fix or something like that. Our handyman was able to go out there. I mean, charge $50 for this quick fix. Anyways, she was like, hey, I see on the invoice $50 charge. What's that for? Well, it was a plumbing issue. It needed to be handled quickly because it was leaking, whatever. Oh, that's a lot of, I'm a cleaner. That's a lot of money for me. So next time, tell me first. I think we did. She's hard to get hold of. And I'll clear it because I'll go do it myself because $50 is a lot of money for me. And so now we know how to handle, her units. We're always going to try to get approval first before we do anything. With yours, a $50 fix, it needs it right away. We know you're going to approve it. So we're going to handle it and then bill you. And then, and then, so it's just a different clients for, in different situations. And we're not just, this is how it is. We're going to do it this way. And you have to deal with it. No, we're flexible for everybody's different needs.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, ultimately, if you are a host who is hiring a property management company, in theory, you are the only person you're our only like direct teammate, right? Because you're handling the cleaners and you're handling the maintenance men and you're handling all the communication with everyone else that if you don't have a property management company, you have to like prioritize building those relationships. But if you do and your property management company is handling all of that, then really your only coworker is your property management company. And so it becomes, in my opinion, exponentially more important that you like the people you're working with, right? It's not just that they know what they're doing, but that you enjoy hanging out with them and communicating with them and you don't have like anxiety in that relationship. And so I feel like that's something that maybe a lot of new hosts will overlook. They'll like, price out a bunch of management companies and they'll be like, well, this one's the least expensive and it's great for my bottom line. So we're going with that direction. And like, I am guilty of that, right? Like, I have gone through that and time again been proven wrong. And like, no, that shouldn't be the priority. So yeah, I think what y'all got going on is amazing. And for people who are looking for a property management company, it's like, please don't prioritize the dollar sign at the end of it. Like that is not the only thing that should be playing a factor into how you're selecting who's going to be running your properties.
You get what you pay for, right?
Definitely. And we
1000%.
and our goal is also to make sure that you're making the most out of your property. So I mean, there are two things where you're gonna be saving money. One is that we already made the mistakes that you may be making on when you get started. That's gonna save you a few bucks for sure, like double bookings and I don't know what may come to mind. Pricing it wrong where someone may book a Friday or a Saturday only on a holiday, and then you end up with a empty calendar and stuff like that. We're also going to be looking into ways to upsell our clients or guests with early check-in, late checkouts, booking the day before, the day after, and things like that. That is going to make an additional revenue stream. So we are looking into those things as well. And another thing that I think is important, and it's not talked very much, is that um, the fact that we manage multiple properties is also beneficial because sometimes we reach out by guests that they're looking they reach out to a property and it is not available for an entire month and they're looking for an entire month. Okay, we may offer another client's property. Of course, we're always going to prioritize if a client has more than one property, their properties, but I think that's important as well because that helps us to relocate guests and is leveraging that you are working with a group of properties and a group of other hosts, and that also brings benefits. And just one more thing that I wanted to mention that I think is, talking about what we're offering, I think is peace of mind. And I have this image when we started managing for other people. One of our first clients were, they were saying, I don't want to be on a Friday night in my sofa watching a movie with my husband and having to be looking at my phone for Airbnb notifications. right? And that's what we want to provide to you. I don't want you to be sleeping with your phone on your nightstand table, at 2 a.m. waiting for a call because someone is stuck out of in the door, can't open the door. We're gonna take care of that, so you can go to sleep. And unless there's something really bad happening, we're not gonna call you.
Yes, that's so true. I mean, literally, even last night we had a neighbor drop off a bottle of wine. So I'm a half a bottle of wine deep, and I'm like in no condition to be handling guests. And I flip over my phone, and like I still have my Airbnb notifications turned on, so I see when people message, even though y'all are handling it. And it was like someone at 4:05 was like, I cannot get in the door. And it was like
Yeah.
immediate relief. I'm like, I get to flip my phone over and be like, it's handled. I do not have to stop drinking this wine. I don't have to be anxious about it. I don't have to get on the phone. Like, it is those moments where it's like, the rest of it should, I mean, most of the time it's pretty kosher, right? But it's like those moments specifically that I'm like, worth every penny. I
Yeah.
don't want to do
Exactly.
it.
Yeah. Well, I have another question for you guys. So, a lot of people get into co-hosting because it's the quote unquote free route. And we say quote because it's free for money. It's not free for time. You're still putting in a ton of time, but a lot of people like to get into it because of it doesn't cost anything. But for those who are thinking about getting into co-hosting and property management, what are some of the peaks and pits that it may not be as obvious to some people when they're looking at getting into it?
Well, let me answer the first part of that in a different way that in a politician way that doesn't answer the question, but answers what I want to say. If someone comes to you wanting to co-host your property or manage your property and they've never done Airbnb before, run the freak away, because they haven't got the battle scars yet. They haven't learned, they don't know what they don't know, and it's like you said, it's an easy what do they call it, access to entry or whatever they call that, because you technically don't need money to start managing for other people, right? You just say, hey, I'll just take a chunk of the profits, whatever, and I'll set everything up. I've watched a few YouTubes, I know what I'm doing, and so it works fine and dandy if there's no issues that ever pop up. And if there, as soon as there's an issue and they don't know how to handle it, then the client's in a bunch of trouble, because they're going to have to try to start handling this problem that their co-host or their manager, who's never done Airbnb before, has never done short-term rentals before, is trying to handle it. I'll just leave that piece there, and I'll let Fede talk to the pitfalls of starting off as things that they don't know, whatever pitfalls that you said, less obvious pitfalls.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
Federico.
I agree with what Steve is mentioning. I'll say, if you want to start co-hosting, at least one bedroom in your house and host someone, just to understand how the platform works, understand how the whole process of communication works. Otherwise, understand the different iCalendar integrations. I think that's very important. So I will say you need to keep. You gotta really understand that iCal, which is a format of the file that connects calendars, to really understand what you're listing in different platforms. If you're gonna do that, really understand your communication. What is the information you want to provide, and how do you provide that? And I think that's something we improve over the time, because you identify what are the recurrent questions that you get, and then you identify what to proactively communicate, uh, and create procedures. But again, it's the things that the well, you don't know that you don't know, but you start creating procedures for every type of situation that you come across. So if I had to suggest something for someone starting co-hosting, is try to imagine everything that could go wrong during a stay, and what would you offer as a solution for your guest, or how would you solve that? And then you need to think about the most stupid question that someone can ask you, and have that written down for your team if you plan to have a team. Because I mentioned this many times. I think I mentioned this in the previous episode. When you're working remotely and you haven't been in the property personally yourself, or your team, if you're talking about BAs, and your BAs in the Philippines or whatever country they are, they've never been in person in the property. And sometimes your guest is gonna ask you the most stupid question. I remember once I was asked, "Where's the switch for the trash? What's it called?
Garbage disposal?
The garbage disposal," and I didn't know, because I haven't that property and I couldn't find it in the pictures, and I was starting to get so anxious because I couldn't provide an answer to such a simple question, right? So I think when you start to co-hosting, that's what you need to keep in mind. You need to have every possible answer for every possible question, no matter how stupid it is. Because people, instead of checking, they're gonna ask you. They're gonna say, "Hey, I don't see I don't know. I don't see the sign that says exit on the building. How do I get out?" Just walk around, right? Uh, Simple questions, but you have to have those in place to make it easy for you. Otherwise, you're gonna go crazy trying to go hosting, and you don't want to be asking your clients those type of questions.
Yes,
So,
1000%. And I mean, people do have heightened levels of anxiety when they're traveling, right? It's
mhm.
like the questions you think are super stupid, it's like, yeah, they are stupid. But again, it's like, Susie, who's traveled a gazillion miles to get here and is exhausted and is delirious and is unfamiliar, like already has all these roadblocks in her brain who aren't allowing her to like find the garbage disposal switch, right? It's like, as a co-host, you have to have just like exponentially more patience than like average because people are asking dumb questions. They are flustered so much easier. And like, I mean, us as travelers or anyone who travels, it's really rare to find someone who doesn't have a little bit of extra anxiety when they're traveling. So, yeah, you are going to get kind of wild questions. I do have one follow-up question though for all of that, like for people who are thinking about getting into co-hosting. And I know a lot of people will hit a brick wall because of what you said. You're like, Steven, you're like, hey, if somebody hasn't managed a property, like run, right? Like they don't know what they're doing, there are going to be hiccups, so on and so forth. If people are looking into getting into co-hosting, what do you think is the best option for them if they don't have the opportunity to rent out, their own space? Do you think it's like working for another property management company or finding someone who doesn't have experience, or like what does that barrier of entry look like nowadays?
I guess
Yeah,
okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare away the potential co-hosts and stuff. A lot of people listen to your show like, "Fuck, I can't do it now." Sorry, I cussed. No, no.
You're allowed to cuss.
I guess I was looking at it as the the client's point of view. Like, don't let someone that doesn't know how to do it yet manage your property. Okay, yes, it is possible to start. Here's a way I can see you getting into it, and if you're local and the place and you're close by the place that you're going to co-host, and you're going to learn the ropes, it's going to kind of be like your property. So I could see you getting into it that way. I wouldn't, like, if you're in Dallas and you're going to co-host, you're going to do one in Detroit or something like that. That is your very first one. No, that's a recipe for disaster, right? If you have some friends, talk to coworkers. Everybody's talking about Airbnb right now. Everybody's talking about it, and if just if you just study up just a little bit, listen to shows like this one, and listen to shows like Live Let Thrive, and listen to watch the YouTube vids, and maybe even do a little course now and then. You start learning, start getting some knowledge. When people at work do start talking about Airbnb, say, "Oh yeah, I know how to do this. I know how to do. This is what I can do." It goes, I'll help you through it, and then we'll split the profit, or whatever you come up with, 50-50 of the profit, and I'll do all the work. I haven't managed before, but I know I've studied a lot how to do it, and I live right down the road from the house. So if anything goes wrong, I can go handle it myself. Yes, yes, that's the way to start. Don't start trying to do crazy stuff like remote hosting or remote co-hosting. But if you're close by a property, you know the person pretty well, you know the property pretty well. You go and do all your due diligence and take pictures of every nook and cranny of the house, take videos of every nook and cranny, get all the right softwares and tools and like you've studied on, and then yeah, you could definitely try it out yourself with one property at a time. Don't try it with 10 at a time. Someone's, oh, I got 10 properties, you can have them all. No, no, sorry, it's tempting, but call Argest Rentals for that. We'll do that. But but yeah, you can get into it that way. Just ease into it for your first property, local, close by to you, that you can go out there and handle any issues. It's going to be a lot of headaches coming up, but that's part of the game. And then you can slowly learn the ropes, and then add another property and another property.
Yeah.
yeah.
I also I think it would be interesting, like, like how hairdressers have apprenticeships where like before they become a hairdresser they work behind another hairdresser. Same thing with surgeons, or like a lot of careers, right? Or pilots, you have
Mm-hmm.
to work behind someone who has
Hmm.
experience. I really feel like an interesting angle that property management companies, I mean, I haven't seen anyone take this angle yet, this is just me spitballing, but But like if there was someone who wanted to get into co-hosting and they found properties that they wanted to co-host, whether they were remote or not, like pair up with a property management company that you get along with and split the profits of that and have like a year agreement where you work behind an existing property management company where you're responsible for the properties that you bring in. You've got a hand to hold with someone who's got experience. It's good for the host, it's good for the new co-host, it's good for the existing property management company. Like all the way around, I feel like there's some synergy there that I haven't seen anyone do yet. So maybe start an apprenticeship program because
That's a
I
great
know there's a lot of
idea.
people out there
It,
looking to get into it.
that's a great idea, and I was thinking that too. And there is actually someone pretty famous that's actually made over $1 million doing that. Julie George, you know Julie George, the $1 million host
No, I
from
don't.
Australia. We'll get her on your show.
Oh
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I remember her.
Anyways, that's if you read her book, that's exactly how she did it. She started, expanding and co-hosting on all these people's. She was in a real estate a realtor first. So she after that she started managing, turning them into Airbnbs and then managing for other people. Other people, word of mouth. She just started growing and growing. And then the cleaners, the people that wanted to work with her as cleaners, they ended up, doing a property. And then she said, you know what, if you want to handle this property 100%, well, you could just have part of what I pull in. So she was charging 25% for management. I think she would give them like 10% of the management. So they were like their own independent contractor, and they loved it, so they took really good care of that particular property. And so she started expanding out that way by just, letting people manage a unit or several units for her and getting a piece of the pie, which is great for her too, because she kept 15-20% sometimes, of that deal. And they loved it because not only were they getting all the cleanings, which they were doing before, but they were taking care of the property 100%, and then plus getting a piece of the profit. So that's exactly how she was able to just like explode. So that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, having a smaller portion of the pie is better than having none of it and then getting rid of some of that responsibility. That's incredible. I love it. I feel like the further I get into Airbnb and just entrepreneurship in general, it's like I guess I had this idea at the beginning that everything was very black and white, right? Like everyone was doing it this way and this was standard and you just like had to figure out what that way was to like move into it. But now as I get further along, it's like really, really like heavy on relationships and not a lot is black and white. Like if you want something and you see an opportunity and you can add value, then negotiations for what that split looks like or how you can make income doing it, is really dependent on person to person. There is no like standard way. So
Totally.
super interesting. I love hearing how other people are doing it. That's amazing. Okay, so I have another question for you. What's Argest trajectory or internal goals? Like as you guys are looking at your 1 year, 5 year, 10 year goals, what does that look like for you guys, both on the management front and on the investing front?
Let me answer the front end of that, and then I'll give it to Fede because I thought it was pretty funny. We actually had this little discussion the other day. So our buddy Sean Rasijic was talking about, I don't know, it was one of his cool videos, and he's a great dude. He's gonna be on our show pretty soon. We'll get him on your show too. He's a great guy. Anyways, he talked about his 150 units. It grew by 55 units while he was at Burning Man or something. He did his post or whatever, and so he has like over 150 units now. And I told Fede, we need 150 units, man. No, we need 200. And he's like, no, we don't need more crappy one bedrooms. We need bigger units that produce more money. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's right. I just got too obsessed over that number. Oh, he did 150, we need 200. But that's not how you got to look at it. So I'll pass it to Fede on that. So that's funny that you should ask that.
Yeah, I think what Steve is saying is something that what's happening in the Facebook groups a few months ago. Everyone was posting how many listings they have on their account, and I think that doesn't mean anything because at the end of the day is how much you're making and the type of properties that you have. And when we got started with this, and when we got started with the first arbitrages, our end goal was very clear. It was investing in cash flowing properties so we can buy properties that we can have equity in. And then we brought in the management part because we do it pretty well. Uh, so our goals is to keep growing our management with people we want to work with. That's something we learn on the way. So we do want to keep growing the management part with clients that we want to work with. Now we are selective. We are just not taking every property, and keep investing in properties. And we've been discussing with you some opportunities, and we've been participating in calls. Luckily, I'm about to get my visa to move to the U.S. Next month. I have my interview at the embassy, which is the last step. And after that, I'm gonna be in the U.S. and I'm gonna be traveling around looking for new markets and new deals. And that's the goal. The goal is to find properties that we can invest. We have a lot of people, um, at least on my side, I know a lot of people who want to invest in the U.S. from other countries that are looking to making investments in real estate and short-term rentals. And I think that's a goal, is to help them invest as well, and we can manage for them. So that's where we're headed right now. Keep growing our management with clients that we want, and start investing really hard in real estate.
Yes, I'm so ready to get into that phase with you guys of investing. Like we've had such a good
Yes.
relationship with property management so far that all of you listeners be on the lookout. There will be a property that we end up buying with them at some point.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
kind of a follow-up question. As you're looking to scale properties that you want to invest in personally, as well as properties that you guys are property managing, what are challenges of scaling at that rate? I know that you guys are really selective, and so you're not trying, like Steven said, to get to 200 just because that's the number that you're trying to get to, but there is always challenges in scaling at that rate. So what do you think your biggest challenges are?
That's a great question. And
Employees,
going back,
hiring
I don't know what I
employees, that's the
missed.
biggest challenge.
Yeah,
Sorry. I just let
hiring has been a challenge. And this is what I noticed. You know how sometimes people talk about market saturation on Airbnbs in some markets. Well, I think that there's been a market saturation on the BA space. And I had this conversation with a lot of people, and what's happening, with the remote stuff is that a lot of people are grabbing a lot of jobs at the same time, and a lot of clients. And I think our standards are pretty high when it comes to working and doing things right. And if I see that an employee is not doing their best, we're not gonna continue that working relationship. And I noticed that some of our BAs were having a second client, and they were not answering in time, and they were not taking care of the tasks they should have been taking care of. And we have our supervisor taking a look, so we have a manager on duty, supervising that. So that's been a point where we've been struggling, because we come to a point where we felt that we had the dream team, and then things started to fall apart a little bit. But we're constantly looking always for new talent, and making sure that we have the best people in the team. I mean, honestly, at some point we were talking with Steve. Are we doing something wrong because we have this rotation in the team? But at the end of the day, it's like customer service is a high rotation type of job, and we are always looking to provide the best service. And if that takes rotating people and training them better as well, and we're always analyzing our training, and I'm building new training material and making new videos and new tools to train them better. Well, it is what it takes. But and looking to new markets. So that's the other thing. We're looking to new markets because, again, there are some certain countries, and I worked with customer service and hiring around the world for 10 years already on my previous job. So I know how certain countries usually go around with customer service and BPO, as they call it, positions. So maybe it is time to look into different markets and see new opportunities in new places where people have great English and maybe have experience in the tourism area, and that's where we're looking now. So we're searching LinkedIn, and opening postings and getting new applications and doing interviews with new different profiles, and I feel we are finding really good people now. So I'll keep you posted on that.
Emily, real quick. That that question made me think right now, and then what Federico said is it something we're doing, and I think it's a combination of things, because like as we were scaling, let's say when we had 5 units and we had a couple of VAs, we thought they were freaking fantastic, out of this world. I mean, but they worked well with 5 units. We didn't have all these headaches that 70 units brings. So when we had 5 units, the team that we had at the time, we were like, man, these VAs are amazing. They're a godsend, and then they're not too expensive, and they're doing everything we need them to do, and we were just so freaking happy. But then when we shot up to 10 units and 20 units, that team didn't work anymore. I mean, it's like the company, it's a totally different company from that time period. And so every time you hit like a benchmark, 10 units, 20 units, 30 units, 40, it's like a whole brand new company that you gotta redesign from the ground up. And sometimes those original employees don't fit with a bigger corporate model, I guess, if you could say that. So we don't have, actually, our original team's gone. Our original team of the VAs are gone because they worked well for those first few units, but after we grew too big, they didn't work anymore, and we needed people with more skills, and they could do more things, not just answer messages. So it's not just, are we doing something wrong? It's just the nature of the beast. It's the nature when a business grows, the original employees might not fit in that type of business anymore. And we've been it's been our biggest challenge, like you said, to scaling. But we just got to learn to do it, right? We got to learn to put more structure into place the bigger we grow.
Steve, I remember you shared with me a quote, and that's something we talk all the time when we got started. It's like whenever you double your business, it's a new business. So when we went from 1 unit to 2 units, it was totally different, right? Because now we have 2 units that we need to take care of. We have 2 calendars. When we went from 2 to 4, it was a totally different thing. And I remember right now being standing in the queue in the supermarket texting to Steve, man, imagine when we go from 2 to 4. Really, like, and that was like 2 years ago. I remember that those kind of things that you have present in your mind. I remember that moment saying, hey man, imagine we already have 2 units, we're gonna get to 4, come on, let's keep looking, let's keep going. And we got to 4, and then we get to 8, and we got to 16 and 32, and we keep growing. And so every time that you double, definitely it's a different company. You have to have different systems in place, different people. Sometimes, I mean, there's people that may join you on the road. There may be people that are not, as Steve was saying. But yeah, every time you double your business, it is totally different.
Yeah, I think it speaks to your company as well that you're willing to make those changes, because some people aren't. Some people are like, you know what, I have the team in place. They're doing what needs to be done, bare minimum. So I'm just going to keep those people in place. But it just speaks to how much you guys care about your clients.
Oh yeah, Fed is the hatchet man, they call him.
For that, we're thankful.
Yes.
Just kidding. He's good. He's good to our employees.
No, it's really incredible
Yeah,
to watch what you guys have done. I mean, you guys have gone through no shortage of changes over the last 2 years, and personally, I've not felt those growing pains, which really, really speaks to how in tune you guys are with your business and how much you're prioritizing the right things. But that is all the questions we have for you today. Thank you guys so much for joining us again.
Awesome.
For our listeners who are interested in hiring a property management company and want someone who we definitely put our stamp of approval on, where can they find you? And then also, where can they listen to you?
ArgestRentals.com, like largest, like the word largest, but without the L. So ArgestRentals.com. Argest is the largest, y'all. Um, so that's my little jingle. So you can find us at ArgestRentals.com, and you can find my show at LiveLetThrive.com, or Live Let Thrive on Apple Podcasts or wherever you want to find your podcast, or YouTube. Live Let Thrive. We've been around for a while. So yeah, you got your start on our show,
It's
Sarah.
so
So that's
true.
pretty cool. Full circle. But you were all dolled up on our show. You put makeup on.
Those days
and
are
stuff.
over.
I was like, okay. Now you're like, screw it. I'm building a freaking house.
I'm in a
Don't look at
construction zone. It's not a good idea to get all dolled up here.
me. Y'all look great. Y'all always look great. Y'all are
Well,
awesome.
we appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah, I will link everything for Argest in the bio of the episode as well. And if you guys want a management company or are interested in a management company, you are more than welcome to DM Sarah and I as well. And we would happily make the intro for you. We will set you guys up on an email chain to talk to them. So yeah.
Oh, and if you use Carwell's, I'm sorry to cut you off. Yeah, if you use the
go ahead.
coupon, or what is it called? The coupon code? I don't know. The Carwells, or just say the Carwells. We'll give you 5% off our management fee. Boom.
Hey,
there we go. Yes.
There's the plug.
Awesome. Well, yes, and Sarah and I are at the Carwells for anybody who doesn't know where to find us. So absolutely message us there if you guys are interested. And we will thank you guys for listening. We will catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.